Hello, in this video we are going to discuss the financial parts to processing e-filings on civil cases. We will look at three different examples: first, rejecting a filing with money; second, accepting a filing with a fee waiver of already paid; and third, accepting a filing with money from an attorney who is not in or is missing a bar number in your attorney table. First, we will look at rejecting an e-filing with fees. You can see there are two filings from the same attorney for the same amount. Let's take a look at the first filing here on DV 15-2022. We can see that the attorney paid for the filing because the payment information says receipt found for $70. When we begin processing the filing and look at the document, we notice that the filing is not signed, so we will need to reject the document. When we do this, the document will go back to the filer, but the money will stay in FCE, and we will apply the money to the case manually when the filer resubmits their documents. Any filings with fees that need to be rejected should have specific instructions for the filer when they resubmit their documents. Our comment should ask the filer to fix the issue that needs to be resolved so that we can accept the filing, but it should also ask the filer to resubmit their filing with the fee waiver already paid, and ask them to provide the receipt number of the filing that we are rejecting and the name of the attorney who originally submitted the filing. We can find the receipt number by canceling this filing and going back to the pending electronic filing review queue and copying the receipt number from the payment information. Let's also record the time that the filing was submitted for our own reference later. Then open the filing again and click Reject. An example reject comment might say, "The answer document is not signed, and when you resubmit your document, please use the fee waiver already paid and reference receipt number 329359 paid by Jeremiah Weiner on May 4th, 2020 in the comments when you resubmit." Once we have added the comment, we can click Save. This will send the filing back to the attorney and allow them to make the necessary changes and resubmit their documents. Even though the filing is no longer in the pending electronic filings review queue, the money is still sitting in an unapplied receipt account for the attorney. Click on Admin, and then Attorney Setup, and then retrieve the attorney record for the attorney who submitted the filing. Click on the link that says Attorney Unapplied Receipt Setup. Here you will see all the e-filing payments made by that attorney. Any payments with a $0 balance have already been processed, but any unapplied receipts with an outstanding balance are either still in the Clerk pending electronic review queue or were rejected and have not yet been moved to the case. At this point, the money for the filing we just rejected is not yet ready to be applied to the case until the documents have been resubmitted and accepted, but we should prepare the receipt now so that we are ready when the documents are accepted. In this example, we see there are two outstanding receipts for $70. One of these receipts was attached to the filing that we just rejected, and the other unapplied receipt is attached to the other Answer First Appearance filing that is still in the pending electronic review queue. It is important to make sure that when the attorney resubmits their rejected documents, that we use the money from the filing we rejected, and not the money from the filing that is still in the Clerk review queue. If we take the money from the wrong receipt, it will cause problems when trying to process the filing that the money was attached to. We will need to take the money from a filing that was rejected because each payment matches up with a specific e-filing rather than just being a general pool of money. We can figure out which unapplied receipt is from the rejected filing by going back to the pending electronic filings review queue and processing the other Answer First Appearance document, which would consume one of these $70 unapplied receipts and leave only the rejected $70 unapplied receipt. However, I instead want to show you how to identify the correct one when there are multiple open receipts of the same amount. An easy way to identify which receipt is rejected is to look at the time the unapplied receipt was created. We can see when the receipt was created by clicking on the blue tag. The time of the filing submission that we wrote down when we rejected the filing will match the time that the unapplied receipt was created. The date and the time of the receipt should match the date and the time of the filing. And we can see this one does match the time of the filing. We can further confirm that this is the same receipt by clicking on where it says e-filing. The receipt number that we provided to the attorney in the rejected comments and the number that we wrote down is listed in the transaction history. Now that we have confirmed this is the receipt which was previously attached to the rejected filing, we can edit the receipt comments to indicate that this filing was rejected and will be resubmitted later. By adding this text to the beginning of the comments, it will make the process of manually moving the money to the case easier when the filing gets resubmitted with a fee waiver of already paid. Once we have finished preparing the receipt for later, we will need to wait for the filer to resubmit their filing. Now that the attorney has resubmitted their filing, we will see how to accept a filing with fee waiver, and we will continue with the example of the rejected answer first appearance. For any fee waivers, we will first need to decide whether the filer has the reason to waive the fee or not. The type of fee waivers that they can use are not required by statute, motion to proceed without payment, court order, government agency, and already paid. If the filer does not have a justifiable reason to use a fee waiver, you should reject the filing and ask them to resubmit with the payment. Any filing with a fee waiver is processed the same way that you would process a filing without a fee waiver. However, for the fee waiver already paid, we will then need to manually move the money to the case after the filing has been approved. Notice this time, the filing does not show any payment information. But when we open the filing, we will see the amount paid is $0, and notice there is a fee exception. The filer should also provide some comments, providing the receipt number that you provided to them. Again, let's write down the receipt number, then continue to process the filing just as you would process a filing without a payment. Now that we have processed the filing, notice that the case ledger does not show the money for the appearance fee. For a filing with any fee waiver except already paid, we would be done. However, since this is an example of a filing with the fee waiver of already paid, we will now need to move the money from an unapplied receipt account to the case. We can do this by going to the Civil Case Filing page, select Existing Case, enter the case number. Even if you were doing this for a civil complaint, select Existing and use the case number that was just opened through e-filing. Then in the Action Search, select the appropriate fee with no document for the amount that the filer needed to pay. In this example, they paid a $70 appearance fee. Use the No Doc action because the document is already attached to another ROA, and the ROA that will get created for the payment will not be attached to the document. Then select the parties who the filer submitted the payment on behalf of, and then fill in the name of the attorney who submitted the payment. Change the payment type to Transfer Unapplied and enter the name of the attorney on the unapplied receipt and click Search. Here, we see a list of all the open unapplied receipts for this attorney. Be careful not to select a receipt from a filing that is still in the pending electronic filing review queue, as this would cause problems when trying to process that filing. Because we earlier changed the comment of the unapplied receipt that we rejected, we can easily identify which receipt to use. Select the receipt by clicking this box here. Then click Save. Then save the ROA for the appearance fee payment. Now if we go to the case and look at the case ledger, you will see that the money for the answer has now been applied to the case. We are now finished processing this e-filing, and you should now continue with any of the follow-up activities, such as adding the attorney to the case. What if you have the situation where there is an attorney who has never filed in your court before, and this attorney submits a filing with fees attached? How will that work? First, you will notice that the filing in the clerk review queue says no attorney for the specific bar ID. In that case, we should add the attorney who submitted the filing to the FCE attorney table. This allows that attorney to see the cases on which they are counsel of record. Also, when an attorney who does not yet exist in your attorney table submits a filing with money, FCE cannot place the money in the attorney's unapplied receipt setup like we saw in the previous example. So, FCE will place the money in a default location, which is the unapplied receipt account for the attorney record receipt no attorney. Even though the money is temporarily sitting in this default location, you should not process the filing any differently than you would process a normal filing with fees. The money will still be applied to the case when we process the filing. The only change is that the case ledger will show that the payment came from receipt no attorney. Before we go any further, I'm going to add the attorney to the attorney table. Okay, now that we have added the attorney to the attorney table, we can see the filer information now displays their name. Even though their name is now listed on the filing, the case ledger is still going to show the money came from receipt no attorney, because the attorney was not in the attorney table at the time the filing was submitted. Let's process the filing so that we can see this in the case ledger. First, we need to look at the document. Then fill in the received field with the new attorney's name and click Save. Then we will need to modify the ROA text so that it displays who the filing came from instead of saying receipt no attorney. Then save the ROA information. Now that we have finished processing the filing, let's view the case ledger. You can see the $70 did get applied to the case, but instead of showing the attorney's name, it shows that the money came from receipt no attorney. Again, this only happens when the attorney who submitted the payment was not entered or did not have a bar number entered in the attorney table at the time the payment was made. If you need to reject a filing with money from an attorney who is not in your attorney table, you will find the unapplied receipt in the unapplied receipt setup for receipt no attorney. In that situation, take special care to add comments to the rejected receipt so that you know who the money belongs to when they resubmit their filing. For additional information, please refer to the written documentation or visit our website at courts.mt.gov/courts/efile. Thanks for watching.